Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with a Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers Show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza.
Hey, diddly dee, it's your host, SteelFlyers.
Thank you. That is the lovely and delightful co-host RoNece. There is so much to get into that we can hardly wait to get to it.
With the expansion draft looming, who will the Flyers protect and who is going to go?
Mini camps are over for the Steelers, and there seems to be a lot of optimism in Pittsburgh for this season.
Lots of great action on today's show, so sit back and enjoy the ride as we get started.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate you all sitting back and tuning in. And like we said, we're going to guide you through this very action-packed show. We got a lot of stuff to get to.
Yeah.
So first thing we're going to start off with is this. We would like to say congratulations to Oskar Lindblom for winning the Masterson trophy. That is, I think he should have won it for last year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's they gave it to Bobby Ryan last year, but I really think that he should have won it last year because he came back from cancer.
Well, he didn't really play last year. I think that was the difference in the award. I think it was because the one guy played, Oskar didn't really play until the very end of the season in the playoffs. So this year he played the whole season, so they gave it to him this year.
Which, okay, I get it. Okay, but I really think he probably should have won it last year, to be honest with you.
I'm sure you're not the only one who feels that way.
Right, because to come back from cancer like that and missing, most of the season and then being able to come back for the playoff bubble and then play for the team during the playoffs. I mean, that's kudos to him for that. And then had a camp and then a full season this year. I think he only missed a couple of games due to, I do believe he got COVID this year. I believe he was one of the ones that got COVID, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know he didn't play the full season, you know what I mean? But pretty close.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So either way, successful season for Oskar Lindblom. To be able to even say that he was able to suit up for, I would say, 80% of the games this year is a huge victory.
Yeah, I mean, anything right now is gravy for him.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So congratulations to him. Another little ex-Flyer news here. I do like to say the Roddy Brindamore got the Jack Adams award for Coach of the Year too. So that's a little feather in the ye olde cap there for Mr. Brindamore, and he's an ex-Philadelphia Flyer. So we're all for that, and we love seeing ex-Flyers get their names on cups and and other trophies and things of that nature. And so congratulations to Mr. Brindamore for that. So I mean, that's all really good too, and I think another thing that we also have to talk about too is the fact that Ian Laperriere was named as the head coach of the Phantoms.
I think that's still really cool. I love Pappy, or whatever they call Lappy. They call him Lappy, right? I think he's a good guy, and I think he could be a good coach. It's a good stepping stone for him.
Okay. Actually, it's more of a demotion instead of a stepping stone.
Okay, I thought because he was getting the head coach of like an AHL team, the next step would be like a head coach of a NHL team. I mean NHL team, excuse me.
Well, usually if you're an assistant coach for an NHL team, the next step would be a head coach.
Okay.
For an NHL team, instead of being the head coach of an AHL team.
Okay, well then I was very wrong.
Well, no, here's the thing, though. Okay, I'm scratching my head on this.
Why?
I really am. I don't understand.
Well, the Phantoms didn't have a good year, did they?
Yeah, no, they did.
Oh, I thought that's why the coach was...
No. Scott Gordon mutually agreed to part ways with the team. They couldn't come to an agreement, so he said that he was going to find opportunities elsewhere, of which I think he will. either as an assistant coach or something. I mean, he did pretty decently with the team that he had when he was head coach of the Flyers. I mean, he didn't do too terribly bad. When Hackstall got fired, he took over for the team there and, was able to do a relatively pretty good job. I mean, all things considered.
Well, considering the spot we were in, it couldn't have gotten much worse.
And the big giant steaming pile that he was handed, you know what I mean? But, anyway. So, yeah, Ian Laperriere being named as the head coach of the Phantoms, I believe, is a bit of a offhanded maybe demotion because he was doing really good as a development coach there for a while, and then he was put in charge of penalty kill, or because he was such a good penalty killer, and, well, that didn't work out really well.
You think that's why he got demoted?
See, people probably in Flyer world or even maybe within the organization themselves don't probably feel that this is a demotion by putting Laperriere as the coach of the Phantoms. It does basically help put a stamp on the Phantoms by allowing it to be Fletcher's guy now instead of the previous guy.
Do you think that had something to do with it, to bring up the players that are coming up, that they'll be in the same system as Fletcher? Or AV?
I don't know.
That could be a reason.
That could very well be the reason. That would probably explain, because he was very good at being that development coach. And he did very well working with the youngsters, showing them how to be a pro and that kind of thing. And that's you need that kind of a coach like that to be down in the minors.
Right.
Because those guys are one step away. And you don't see those guys anymore being those career AHL guys anymore. You're not seeing that.
Right.
Where you're seeing guys that are only down there long enough to get their shot to the big league. And then once they make it to the big league, then they're trying to be up into the big league.
Right. I mean, I can't default them for that.
Right.
So.
I mean, okay, I guess we'll see how it goes. I mean, how do you part ways with the guy that Pertinier had you to the Calder Cup? I mean, if they played,
I know where he's going to go.
He's not.
He's going to go.
No, he's not.
He's not going to go meet up with what's his name in Seattle?
Oh, no, probably. I don't know, maybe. You know what? I didn't think of that.
Dave Hackstall?
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but he wasn't. He was replaced. He replaced Hackstall. When Hackstall got fired, Scott Gordon was the guy that replaced him.
Right, because Scott Gordon was like the assistant coach, right?
No, Scott Gordon at the time was the head coach of the Phantoms.
Okay, well.
And then he was brought in to be the head coach of the Flyers when Hackstall got fired.
But they did work together, correct?
No. Well, yeah, they did. Yeah.
In a sense that the AHL team and the NHL team.
Supposed to be that the NHL club puts the system in place, and then the AHL team is supposed to play that same kind of system.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, air quotes, that's how it's supposed to work.
Right.
Ideally. But that's not how it always works. So you get what you get. You know what I mean? So.
All right, so let's go off. Let's follow this tangent. Dave Hackstall is the coach of the Seattle Kraken. Do you think you would have made that choice?
It's funny. We were talking about this on the Off the Wall Hockey show the other night, and John and I, the GOAT from Off the Wall Hockey, and we were both like, we're scratching our heads, man. Like they had 3 interviews with Tocchet. And, I mean, you would think after 3 interviews.
Right,
and
that
so
they're kind of.
They had 1 interview with Hackstall, and that was it?
And they hired him?
And then they hired him? I mean, it was like, really?
Wow.
I don't. This is all speculation. The fact that Hackstall got hired as coach of the Seattle Kraken, is named as their first coach. Congratulations to him on that. I hope the goatee can signal a change, because there's a lot of people that are like, well, he didn't do that bad in Philly. All right. He made the playoffs 1 time out of 3 years. I'm sorry, twice out of 4 years. Well, 3.5. And the one time that he made it was basically lucky because it was the last game of the season that we had to win in regulation, or we had to win the game, period. It didn't matter if it was regulation shootout or not.
We just had to win.
We just had to win. And we won because we won the shootout or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So we squeaked in and then got housed in the first round.
Yeah.
Right? Missed the playoffs the following year. But each of the years that he was coach of the Flyers, their first 20 games, they were poo-poo.
Yeah.
They come out cold. The one season, Giroux didn't even score until his first 13 games in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what?
It doesn't bode well.
He didn't have a consistent lineup on a nightly basis. Every night there was different guys with different guys.
You can't build chemistry that way.
You can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. You need to have guys that are on the same line with the same guys on night in and night out in order to get some decent kind of chemistry and things of that nature. And now, kudos to Hackstall for being a awesome college coach.
Maybe that's why they're
the
bringing him in.
University of Dakota, North Dakota, South Dakota, one of the Dakotas. He had been to the Frozen Four like a number of times. He had never won it, but had been there quite a few times and was coach of guys like TJ Oshie and Jonathan Taves. And he was a great college coach.
Right.
It didn't translate into the pros. He lost, I think, the veterans.
Gotcha.
Because he didn't know how to treat the veterans. And because he didn't have a very consistent lineup every single night. He didn't have a consistent goaltender every single night.
Well, we all know the Flyers and goaltenders are they're like magnets that just don't connect.
You mean opposite magnets?
Yes, north and south. They just push each other away.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know that Hackstall is the coach of the Kraken. Let's go into another question. Let's talk about the expansion draft. I'm going
to tell you right now, that basically just said two things.
Yeah.
Either Ghost and or JVR is going to Seattle.
Yeah.
Which
one do you think is more likely?
Probably Ghost.
I think JVR.
I think probably Ghost. Because under Hackstall, Ghost had 60-some points.
Okay.
And those were his breakout seasons when he was being, Mr. Offensive Defense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
What about Voracek?
Was talking to the great and wise Perlo Wisdom, and he was saying that he doesn't feel that they won't take him unless there's a first-round draft pick attached.
Okay.
Because he represents a huge amount of money off of Philadelphia's books. And suddenly now the Seattle Kraken has become the bank of the NHL.
Right.
And every single NHL team that is at or over the cap is looking at them going, please take this guy off of our books, please. Here, we'll give you a first-round pick. Here you go. Here, take this guy, please.
This couldn't have worked out better for the expansion draft to be in the position that the NHL is right now. Isn't that funny?
See, everybody's like, oh, man, Seattle, they're not going to get... They're probably not going to have a pretty good... they're going to be competitive, but they're not going to be like what Vegas was and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, let me tell you something. Ron Francis, the general manager up there, that guy knows how to build teams.
Yeah.
All right? And I'm here to tell you, he's going to use whatever he has to use to get as many draft picks as he can, especially number one draft picks. And, especially this year, this year's number one draft pool is actually pretty deep.
Yeah.
There's, 4 or 5 kids that are coming up in this year's NHL draft that potentially could be last year's Lafreniere.
Okay.
they could make the squad and be out on the ice day one.
Not go through the AHL or college or whatever.
Exactly. Make the squad, be on the team from day one. So there's more guys this year than there were last year.
Okay.
Okay, so I really think that it's going to be amazing to see what's going to happen, because I think Seattle is going to have the pick of whatever they want.
Right.
Because teams are going to, especially the teams that are strapped. Like, you look at Tampa Bay, they're going to be like $9 million over.
Wow.
Right? Now, they have until...
After the playoffs.
Oh, no, yeah. They have until, like, September or something. Like, it's the first week before the season, where you have to have down to 23 man, you have to be down to your 50 contracts, or, there's multiple days and dates that you have to be, where you have to at least have, you can only have up to 50 contracts, that's it, and you have to be under the cap by such and such a date at such and such a time. Okay? So that is, marginally down the road. Okay.
Is that going to change when they win the Stanley Cup?
I tell you what, man, I think Montreal has just as good a chance to win the Cup as Tampa Bay. By the way, we'll get into that a little later. So you're getting a little ahead of us here now.
Sorry.
Because we want to continue on here with what the Flyers are doing here, especially in this expansion draft.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think it's very important to talk about this very, very quickly or for a little bit here, because the Flyers have exactly that particular issue.
We're close to the cap?
Where we have some money, but we need to sign Carter Hart this summer. We need to sign a backup goalie, or if Elliott's going to stay, or he needs to make up his mind, or whatever the deal's going to be. We need a backup goaltender, and I guarantee you that it's probably not going to be Elliott. And if it's not going to be Elliott, it's going to be somebody that's going to cost $4 or more $1 million a year.
Okay, watch his head explode. What about Alex Lyons?
As I scoop my brains back up into my head.
Thanks for that visual.
Right. No, he hasn't been re-signed, and Felix Sandstrom has been re-signed, and I think they're going to probably wait until after the expansion draft to sign players, or I don't know how they're going to do that or what they're going to do, because they still need to sign Carter Hart, and if they do sign him, he will have to be protected, but he's a goalie, so if they do that, there's...
Has he been playing long enough to be on the protected list? I thought they had to play for 3 years first.
He has played for... He's actually at the end of his entry-level contract.
Oh, okay.
And the entry-level contracts are 3 years, and he hasn't played in the AHL, but I think maybe half a season.
Okay.
And the rest of the time he's been with the Flyers. So yeah, he would be highly eligible to be swooped in and snagged goalied, and I guarantee you that anybody would be looking at that going, ooh, all right.
What would they give the Flyers if they wanted Carter Hart?
Nothing. Really? They don't have to give them nothing. But Carter Hart will be protected.
Okay.
So they can't pick Carter Hart. Yeah, in the expansion draft, they will, the lists have to be out by July 17th.
Okay, which is coming up.
Very shortly. Each team has to have their list out there of the players that they will have on their list to be protected. Okay? And so that is going to be a tricky situation for a lot of teams, because a lot of teams are going to try to protect their best players, or the players that they feel
right, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
So who's on the Flyers list? Who are we protecting, do you think?
Okay, so the Flyers, I expect them to do the 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie. Because if they do it the other way, they lose 2 potential players that they can't protect. Okay, so that's going to leave a lot of guys potentially open,
right,
to get selected. Giroux has to be on the list because he has a no movement clause.
Okay,
so he has to be on the list, and there's no question about that. He has to be on the list. All right, he's really the only one
that has that clause,
that has that issue. Okay. Couturier needs to be on this protected list.
I think he needs to be on the team, and I think he should be captain, but that's just me.
He's got to be protected. I mean, if it wouldn't be for Giroux's no movement clause, Couturier would be number 1.
I know.
Anyway, Carter Hart, he's the goalie on the list. Okay? That, like I said, he needs to be signed and then protected.
Right.
End of story.
He's our only goalie right now.
Yeah. I mean, we have Felix Sandstrom is on the roster signed. But
he's our only goalie right now.
Yeah, because nobody else. Yeah. Oh my gosh, isn't that a scary thought? Chuck, I think you have a lot to do there, buddy. Anyway, then we'll move on to the next one that I feel is probably the next most important player that needs to be protected, and that would be Provorov.
Why do you think he's the most important?
Because he's our 1B defenseman.
Okay.
You notice how I said 1B?
Yeah.
We need that 1A.
Yeah.
That 1A defenseman is that guy that... A perfect example player that would exemplify that would be Shea Weber for Montreal.
Okay.
Or Victor Hedman for Tampa Bay. One of those type of players that has hoisted the cup or has won, has had success, is a little bit veteran, but not, using a cane.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? Somebody that potentially could be...
And what's the style of play that...
Well, we need him to be a bigger player. We'd like that player to be able to check off a couple boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that player would need to be somebody that could be, say, physical.
Right.
Say, over 6'1".
Okay.
Say, over 212 pounds. Say, somebody who's maybe in the 25, 26, 27 year age range. Somebody who, say, isn't afraid to make the boards rattle a little bit.
Would he drop the gloves?
That too! That would be great!
So you're describing someone like we had when we had, like, Wayne Simmons.
But Wayne Simmons didn't play defense.
I know he didn't, but that kind of mentality.
Yes!
That's what I'm looking for.
Yes! Yes, we need a defenseman who can be the quarterback of the power play.
Right.
To be like Kimmo Timonen was when he got the puck on his stick. Ooh, the game just slowed down. No, I mean it did. Right? Like he was that calming presence.
Yeah.
Like Eric Desjardins was the same way. The puck got on his stick, and he was just cool, and everybody was cool. Right? And he'd get into the zone, and they'd start doing the passing, and start cycling, and then it was good.
And it was good.
And it was good, right? But you understand what I'm saying? You need that calming presence. You need that veteran guy who's been there, done that, maybe who's won a little bit. Maybe somebody who's not afraid to get their nose dirty. Maybe somebody who's not afraid to drop the gloves. Maybe somebody who's not afraid to do those kinds of things. That kind of guy needs to happen. And he does not exist all the way on this team.
Okay. So that's why we need Provy to be a partner for him.
Right. Because Provorov is that... He's a little bit more offensive-minded. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he's very fast.
Right.
And very smart, and eats a lot of ice time, and is a really good penalty killer, okay? Provorov is not good at being the quarterback on the power play. That's not his thing.
Right.
Okay? And they're trying to force him to do that, and then no.
Okay. So Hayes has a no movement clause?
Hayes has a no movement clause. He's the next one on the list that only because of the no movement clause.
Right.
Otherwise, meh.
You wouldn't
Meh.
wouldn't care.
Wouldn't care.
Okay.
I mean, for the amount of money that he's making and the output, now I know he's getting core muscle surgery in the off season. You know what I mean? And I know he kind of played hurt there for a while, but even still, like, he's like, do you remember when Hartnell played for us?
Yeah.
Right? But Hartnell was able to score.
Right.
He's like...
Even if he had to throw his glove at somebody.
To stop him. But Hartnell could score.
Right.
Right? And Hartnell would drop the gloves, and Hartnell was just that guy. Hayes is just not quite Hartnell.
Yeah.
Like, I want Hartnell, you know, with Hayes' offense.
Right.
Because Hayes is much better offensively than Hartnell was.
Right.
Because he has better hands, and he's a little faster and a better skater. But you know what I mean?
He's just not quite.
He's just not quite. Yeah, come on.
All right. So that's how we feel about Hayes.
Right.
Marin?
Sam Morin. Okay, this is the guy that I feel could morph into that particular type of player that I'm talking about. That Victor Hedman type of player. That, that Shea Weber type of player where he's big. He's definitely not afraid to speak his mind. He is definitely not afraid to slam his body into people. And he's definitely not afraid to drop the gloves.
Right.
Okay? And if being as young as he is, that's kind of his only knock, is that he's still young.
Yeah.
And he needs that time to develop. And he hasn't had that time because he's had 2 ACLs back to back.
Right.
Okay? So he's missed 2 full seasons. All right? So that puts him 2 years back.
Do you think they won't protect him because he has health issues? that might come up again?
I also don't think he counts.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he counts as played enough years in the pro, because they're counting the pro as being played in the AHL as being played in the pros.
Okay.
Which I think that's a little sketchy. But hey, I'm not the NHL. I don't make the rules. I just sit here and tell you guys about them.
All right.
So I think Moran would be one that I would really like to see the Flyers protect. I really think he's one of those key players the Flyers need to keep and play more of. He needs to see more ice time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Myers?
Phil Myers. Because we're more than likely gonna lose Ghost.
Yeah.
We need a Myers. And he has that same kind of game as Ghost. He's more offensively minded. You know what I mean? And so I think you still need to have that type of player still on the back end. Okay. You know what I mean? To be that third line guy. He could actually potentially be the second line quarterback for the power play.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's the kind of offensive player that you need as a quarterback for your power play, the second unit. Okay. You know what I mean? So I think that would be a good way to go with that. But look, these are just all my opinions. This is the list that I would do. This has nothing to do with any list that's been published or anything like that. This is just my list that I would present to the NHL of who I would protect. Okay?
So, Lawton?
Scotty Lawton would be on the list again. Just signed a 5-year contract or 3-year contract for $5 million for each year or something crazy like that. I think that Lawton is that. I really think he's one of those types of players that is the glue that helps hold this team together. Okay. He can play any position on the line. He can play center. He can play wing. He can penalty kill. He can play on the power play. He's fast. He can score. You know, he's a perfect third line guy. I like him paired up with some other players.
Okay.
You know, I really feel that he also deserves to be protected as well.
Okay.
On the list. So that's another forward now. Okay. So now we get the next forward, which got to go with Lindblom.
Yeah.
I really see
maybe he's
huge potential in this player, because when you look at what he was able to do before he was diagnosed with cancer, he had 30 points, 12 goals, right? 18 assists in not that many games.
Right, because he had to leave.
Yeah, that was only about 18 or 20 games he played. That's pretty good.
Right.
And as he's been able to come back, you know, progressively, you've seen flashes of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you can just tell that he's not quite
all the way back.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, this was a weird, wacky year, of course.
Right,
but
right.
Maybe with a regular season on a regular basis, maybe he'll.
Yes, and also I think too, one of the major things that really affected the Flyers this year was the lack of practice.
Well, that's what they said.
Yeah, but you could tell. I mean, that was with every team.
Yeah,
that wasn't just the Flyers. I mean, even like you look at Tampa Bay and you look at Montreal, the two teams that are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. You can tell in certain games where there was lacking of practice.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes. You can't just constantly be suiting it up every single night without some practice.
Well, or not having, just every other night is too much.
Exactly. And so definitely I think Lindblom has got a lot of potential left in him. You know what I mean? And I believe that's gonna be the end of the list there, because it's what? So it's 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goaltender, right? So I got G, Coots, Hayes, Lawton,
Lindblom.
The last 2 are just kind of throw-ins, because I can only pick one.
So which one?
It's either JVR or Konechny. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I would much rather it be JVR.
Really?
Yeah. Even though I know it's probably not going to be him.
Right.
It'll probably be TK.
Right.
Just because TK's younger. You know what I mean?
And GVR is, he's a little older. He's been playing for a while.
Agreed. But JVR was still one of our best players last year.
That's true.
Okay. And to see him just up and leave after bringing him back, that would just stink.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that would just stink. And that's why it's either going to be one of these two, because Ghost, I think, is going to go. Okay.
And you think they'll be okay with letting him go?
Well, they're not going to have a choice, because they're probably not going to. They're going to have. If they go this route, they can only pick 3 defensemen.
Right. So, what one of the defensemen would they give up to keep Ghost?
It would either be Myers or Marin.
And we want to keep both of them.
I would, me personally. I mean,
I think Marin is an absolute. Myers, maybe not.
Right. True. But if they protect him, then they're trying to lose salary. And the salary they're trying to lose is guys like Voracek. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys like everybody says they would like to lose JVR just because his salary is $7.5 million, $7.25 million. But I would much rather lose somebody like Konechny. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would much rather lose somebody like him, because I know that there's a rather lengthy list of players waiting in the wings for the Flyers.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying some of this is going to be moot, because there's players waiting in the wings that are going to be
better, stronger, younger,
faster. Sorry, little $6 Million Man action there for you.
Slow motion running.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, that's the deal there with the Flyers, and I'm excited to see what happens here with the regular draft. 2 days after that, with the expansion draft being on the 21st of July. So, going to be interesting to see how that all pans out and goes forward. So
stay tuned for draft shows.
Oh, yeah, damn, stay tuned for that. So with that, we are going to take a little break, and we would like to, a huge thank you to our sponsors, Canine Country Club Resorts. You can check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. You can find them there for all your pets' needs, from daycare to spa treatments, and an indoor and an outdoor salt-filtered pool. Get your appointments scheduled now because they're pretty booked out. So you want to get your appointments in there scheduled for the professional groomers, and also get time out there now because it's beautiful and hot out there. So you want to get your dogs out in that refreshing cool pool. So check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com, and we will be right back right after this.
Greetings. This is SteelFlyers from the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. SteelFlyers stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of SteelFlyers' furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full-service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail Dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The SteelFlyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
So, it's almost July, and we're still playing hockey.
I know. Well, we're not playing hockey.
Well, you know what I mean.
And the Flyers definitely aren't playing hockey.
Oh, the Flyers are really... They've had the last 3 months off.
2.
Whatever.
Right, still. But speaking of the fact that hockey is still going on and we're almost in July,
Is this the second summer in a row that they've had hockey this late?
Yeah.
I mean, last year because obviously of the bubbles, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is... Because usually they hand the cup out at the beginning of June.
Yeah.
That's usually when the cup is being handed out, you know what I mean?
And we're just starting the Stanley Cup Final on Monday?
Tonight. Yeah, tonight. Okay. Monday night. That'll be June 28th. June 28th. So
yep,
that's
that is
when
today.
That's when the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals between Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens. And boy, I'll tell you what, man, just like we said earlier, whoo, what bracket?
Yeah. Not yours.
Not mine. And nobody in the SteelFlyers thing got it. Because everybody picked either Toronto or somebody else.
Or Vegas.
Or to win or what. Yeah, no. So nobody got... There was a lot of people that had their brackets screwed up because of Montreal. And there was probably a few select that selected Montreal. I mean, you Montreal fans, I'm sure, were the only ones. So, I mean, good on you. And, they actually have a legitimate shot here. They really do.
Didn't they have a very tumultuous season? Like, they had a lot of problems this season, which is even more remarkable that they've made it this far.
I mean, let's start off with the fact that their off-season was filled with the most moves by any team in the NHL this past off-season.
Right.
Where they had multiple players leave, come, and go, and whatever the case is.
Right.
Okay? They start the year, the first 20 games, they win the first 12 in regulation.
Which is good.
I mean... Wow! All right. You come out of the first 20 games and you win the first 12 in regulation? Like, all right. You're pretty legit.
Right.
And then, 15 games later, they fire the coach.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one at all.
Huh? Halfway through the season, they fire the coach. Okay. Then they bring in another coach who basically has the same type of system that the previous coach had.
Makes you wonder what he got fired for. It probably wasn't being a coach.
Well, they said it was the message in the room, and so whatever. And apparently, having a very massive uprooting off-season, firing your coach halfway through the year is definitely the perfect recipe for getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean,
what?
Being the last seed, the lowest seed, the with the least amount of points.
In the Canadian division or the North division?
No, period.
Oh, I thought it was just in Canada.
No, period.
Oh, okay.
Like, if they were in any of the other divisions, they would have not made the playoffs.
Wow. Yeah,
that's how low points they were. Right? Now, I understand that they probably missed... I don't know. No, I think they did play all 56 games. Because they did. Because they waited till the very end before even Montreal could play, because they were waiting to play the games that Vancouver missed. Because Vancouver missed that whole big stretch there with COVID.
Right.
So they made up all those games, so they didn't miss. So they did play all 56 games. So yeah, playing all 56 games, they would have not have made it into the playoffs in any, even if they were back in their home division. Mm-hmm. Like before the COVID, restructure of the divisions, right? If they were back in their original division of the Metropolitan or the Atlantic,
right?
Nope, they wouldn't have made it.
The divisions are going back to normal next year, correct?
Yes.
So they're not gonna. They didn't like this.
It wasn't that they didn't like this. It's just that this is how it worked out, because they had to have all of the Canadian teams in one division because they weren't allowed to not play in Canada.
Right.
So all the Canadian teams basically formed their own division, because so then all their games were played in Canada.
Right. So they didn't have to travel.
Well, they did.
I mean, within internationally, I should say.
Correct. They didn't have to travel internationally because right now the rules state that the borders are still closed.
Which should be changing soon.
Well, in fact, they did just sign an extension for another 30 days. I just heard the other day that the president signed another extension for 30 days. So the border, and the only reason why the NHL is allowed to do their players is because they got a special permission from governments
Right.
on both sides to allow the players. Now, each player has to go through a set of major circumstances like, protocols.
Right, I'm sure.
They have to be tested daily. They have to stay at the hotel because this is what's going to happen now with the Cup Finals because Montreal is in the Cup Finals.
Right.
So Tampa Bay is going to go up to Montreal. So the first 2 games are going to be in Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay is the higher seed.
Obviously.
So Tampa Bay is going those first 2 games will be in Tampa Bay. Montreal will come into Tampa Bay. They will be quarantined in their hotel room. They will not be allowed to leave. Tampa Bay will also be quarantined in their hotel room and not be allowed to leave. They'll get up to Montreal, same thing, because they'll be up there for 4 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're going to play 2 games.
And then they finish in Tampa Bay.
Well,
if they go to Game 7.
Game 6 is in Montreal. Game 7 is in Tampa Bay. Right.
Come on, 7 games.
Yeah, we're rooting for 7 games because the other half of the Hockey Writers, Inc. has got permission and credentials to go to Game 7 of this series of the Stanley Cup Finals in Florida.
Wow.
So, all right, man. Go Lance. Go Lance. Go Lance. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. We're hoping and praying for a Game 7. I don't think it's going to go 7 games. But hey, I've been wrong.
I didn't
with
think
everything
Montreal
so
was going to make the playoffs, so
well,
we all can be wrong.
Nobody thought Montreal was going to make the playoffs. And then nobody thought they were going to beat Toronto. And then nobody thought they were going to beat Winnipeg. And then...
And they just kept winning.
I mean, nobody thought they were going to beat Vegas. Hey, here we are. So
first time they've been in the playoffs, Montreal, since 2011?
First time they've been to the Cup Finals. Since 2011. They were in the playoffs last year with Philadelphia in the first round.
I forgot.
In the first round. Played relatively well. They ran out of offense during that series against Philadelphia, but for the most part, they played really well. Price played really well. That's the only reason why I think Canadians are in it is because Price is playing very, very well, and the Canadians have a great mix of veterans and young players that are providing enough offense, are being stingy on defense, are shutting down teams, and Price is playing up to his Vezina Trophy self. And speaking of which, let's see, another Vezina Trophy winning goaltender is on the other side. Oh, that's Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is just stacked. Victor Hedman, Braden Point leads all teams with 14 goals in the playoffs, and Vasilevsky is just amazing in goal as well. He's also up for the Vezina this year as well too. So I mean, with Kucherov coming back for Game 7 there in Tampa Bay, that's huge for them. Stamkos and the guys down there in Tampa Bay, they are stacked and ready to go. They're the defending Cup champs. It's very difficult to make it back into the playoffs the year after you win the Cup.
I know.
But not only that, but they are back in the finals.
With a good chance to win.
With a good chance to win, with a pretty darn good team. You know what I mean? So we're going to see how this is all going to work out. So congratulations to them, and very excited to see the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
And so it's great when this is some really good hockey, and it's been really amazing hockey. These playoffs this past year have been amazing. What a shame that the Flyers couldn't be part of it.
Maybe next year.
You know what I mean? Because this would have been great, especially for the city of Philadelphia, getting fans back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And being able to have people in the stands, getting the concession people back working, getting the people that work in the stadium back working, and, all that stuff generates everything and blah, blah,
right.
blah. And Philadelphia couldn't put it together this year. Smack! I mean, you had a shot. Anyway.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh, my gosh. The fact that, that they looked at the team from last year and went, yeah, we added Gustafsson. Yeah, all right. And we added Braun. Yeah, all right. We're good.
No, you're not good.
Right? I'm scratching my head, Chuck. What are you doing, boy? Anyway.
As the great Joe Bork once said, get your head out of your butt, Chuck.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Professor Joe, for that one. So,
let's switch sports.
Yes, let's do that, because we have a couple of things here we need to get into as far as how the NFL has been going. We are now deep into the fresh out of mandatory mini camps.
Okay.
Like, they ended this past weekend.
Okay.
All right. So now we have that break between now and when training camps start.
Now, here's my question about training camp. Obviously, because of last year, we had a lot of issues. Are they going to go to a normal training camp this year?
Well, that was the plan.
Go to St. Vincent's. Get it all worked out.
Fans in attendance. Everything was going to be great. We're going to be back. And no. The NFL said that they did not approve of the Steelers' plan to be at St. Vincent's College for training camp for the 2021-2022 season. And so Pittsburgh will be forced to reevaluate their training camp schedules to be at the Heinz Field and the UPMC training facility, I believe is in Oakland.
Yeah.
There in Pittsburgh, downtown Pittsburgh. And
well, it would be near the university, I'm sure.
Yeah, the University of Pittsburgh, yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's also another problem that they have to share that with Pitt, too. Aren't they going to be practicing about the same time?
I mean, it's getting to be about that time, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, they didn't have that problem last year because Pitt wasn't playing because of COVID, right? But this year they should be playing, right?
Right.
That's going to cause some problems, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Pittsburgh, the only team that got their plan denied.
Yeah.
They have been going to St. Vincent's College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania since 1967.
Wow.
And last year was the first year that they weren't there since 1967.
Do you think they like better being at the stadium better, or
no?
They like the college?
College.
Why do they like the college better?
Well, it's Chuck No Field.
Okay, but what advantages do the college training camp have as opposed to doing
it's
it
out of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
It's not downtown Pittsburgh. It's not at the stadium. It's not at the training facility. It's go to the dorms and buddy up with people that you probably normally wouldn't have been buddied up with, or whatever the case is. It's
a little more concentrated.
It's just y'all.
Okay.
There's nobody else. It's just the team.
Gotcha.
And it's not that it wouldn't be that in Heinz Field and at UPMC, but those places are inherently more accessible to media.
Right.
Because of what they are, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they would have the same kind of access. They would probably be similar to how they were set up last year, where they had the field was broken down into different sections, and then they did other things at UPMC Sports and stuff like that. It just adds another layer of really, I mean, now you have to work out in one place and then have practice in another.
Yeah.
Why can't you have everything all in the same place?
Yeah.
You know, I don't get it.
Well,
whatever.
Wasn't up to us, so.
Funny how the Steelers are the only team that have to change their plans.
Well, maybe they can go to California.
Well, no, because Dallas is not going to go to California, apparently. They're going to...
That's why I said they could go to California, because Dallas isn't going.
Yeah, there you go. They could... Hey, there's a place there in Irvine, California. No, I'm just kidding.
Call Jerry. He'll let you use it.
Yeah, there you go. No, I don't want to do that. I want the team to be in St. Vincent's College where it belongs for training camp. That's just the way it's supposed to be. And speaking of which, there's been some things going on here with the Steelers, and...
We've lost a couple people this year.
We have, but let me say this. With the OTAs that were earlier in June, at the end of May and the beginning of June, and then now with the mandatory mini camps that have been over this past weekend or so, all of the off-season camps, training camps, and things of that nature are all completed now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's been a lot of positive vibes.
Yeah.
Coming out of Pittsburgh as far as some of the how some of the players have looked. You know, so I mean, they're talking about Najee Harris looking good. I mean, you know, look, everybody looks good in shells. You know, cleats and jerseys and helmets. And shorts. Everybody looks good in shorts.
I don't look good in shorts.
Well, I beg to differ, but...
Anyway, I understand what you mean.
But,
we haven't seen him really play yet.
Everybody looks good in shorts because you're just running around. Nobody's tackling. Nobody's hitting. You know, you're not having to pick the dirt out of your helmet for the 15th time after getting nailed by, 6 guys. You know?
Well, I mean, they do that in college somewhat. I mean, they do get some of that.
Okay. So as a college player coming into the NFL, the last time that you have been physically, even if you played a bowl game, the last time you've had anything physical happen to you was maybe January, maybe, if you made a bowl game. If not, you were done in December. So you haven't hit nothing or nobody's hit you since then.
Okay.
So, like I said, everybody looks good in shorts, right? And cleats, and, hey, look how good he's cutting. Hey, look how good he's running. Yeah, all right, cool.
Can I go a little bit off of a tangent here?
Oh, by all means.
Since we're talking about the beginning of the season, how many Penn State players were drafted this year? Was it 3 or 4?
4, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, how about that for sure? And one of them went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, that loud thud you heard was me hitting the floor, fainting. What? You mean you picked a Penn State player? And one that I wanted you to pick? What? No, this is McWorld. No, I'm a dreaming. Yeah, I'm dreaming. Yeah. No. Picking up Pat Fairmouth. I
know.
In the draft this year. And they say he's looking really good in camp. Ebron said he looks really good in camp, so that's high praise. Looks like Ben is all in. Has been looking good in camp. Has had some...
That's good news.
Yeah, all right, so let's break it down, because there's been a few things that have happened. And we did talk about the big one, where the Steelers training camp is not going to be at St. Vincent College for the second year
which
in a
is
row.
disappointing, but...
It's utterly redonkulous, if you ask me. Okay? I don't understand that. What is it that, so protocol that they can't do?
It is what it is. We can't change it.
Okay, I know, I get it, but even if they disallow the fans, I mean, really? Come on. Anyhow,
it might have to do with students being there. You don't know. I don't know.
Whatever.
I haven't done any research on it.
Whatever. So that's the case. The other thing that's happened too was David DeCastro was released, utterly and outrightly released. Thank you, appreciate your time, but it's been a slice. His availability over the last 3 years has not been good, as far as with lots of injuries. I'm not saying that he wasn't a good player, and when he was available, he did have the tools to play pretty well. Was a heck of a good run blocker. Was able to pull and things of that nature, but I think the injuries have derailed him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. It really is. You know what I mean? He had a lot of he was a high draft pick. And he had a lot of potential. You know what I'm saying? But it's unfortunate, and appreciate it. But he was released. Releasing DeCastro freed up quite a large chunk of money for the Pittsburgh Steelers as far as his direct cap hit was, I believe, $6.5 million.
Was that another reason they let him go? Was because of the cap hit?
Probably. I think that was probably part of it. And the fact that who they've drafted over the last 2 seasons, they've drafted some really good linemen over the last 2 seasons.
They're ready to bring them up?
Yeah, I mean, Dodson, I think, is going to be a starter this year.
Okay. Straight
out. I think Chucks is going to be a starter this year. I think we're going to get Zach Banner back. He's going to be the starter. We signed Finney. He's going to be the center, I think. And the guy that's going to replace Castro, I believe, is a guy that they just re-signed, which is another reason why we're bringing this up, is Trai Turner, a 7-year veteran, voted to 5 Pro Bowls.
That's pretty good in 7 years.
Yeah, for sure. 3rd-round draft pick of the Panthers in 2014. He's played 6 seasons for the Panthers before being traded to the Los Angeles Chargers before the 2020 season. He had a little bit of an injury issue there towards the beginning of the season there last year and missed the first 7 games, but was able to come back and play the final 9, and then he is listed as completely fully healthy and recovered and ready to go.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So the fact that
he seems like he'd be a quality player if he's made the Pro Bowl, and he's been on some really good teams. And the Chargers last year did fairly well, right?
No. Chargers didn't do very well last year.
Then I'm thinking of someone else.
Carolina Panthers, though, since they've drafted him, have done pretty well. He's been there for a lot of the Cam Newton years. Well, all of the Cam Newton years. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2014.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And he's actually started 89 of the last 90 games.
That's good.
With the Panthers that he played there. You know what I'm saying? So that's been really cool, too. So great to see that the Steelers were able to pick somebody up like that, even though David DeCastro is done, and we appreciate that.
So who else is doing really well at looking good?
Looking good at training camp?
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, we're not quite all the way at training camp. They're saying good things about Najee Harris. They're saying good things about Devin Bush being back. Oh man, boy, are we gonna miss? We have missed him, and it's gonna be great seeing him back. That's gonna be
that was kind of sad when he went out. Like, was it the 1st or 2nd game?
Like 3rd game or something
it was
crazy
really
like that.
Early in the season.
Really early in the season. Spillane is gonna be another really nice addition back there too. Highsmith. Our draft pick from last year, who made an impact towards the end of the year last year, I think is going to be another guy that's going to step in huge to fill the hole there that Bud Dupree left when he went with more dollar signs up there in Tennessee. You know what I mean? So going to be interesting to see how that group works with Bush and TJ and Highsmith, and then whoever else they're going to rotate in. I'm going to be interested to see who they're going to rotate in there in that linebacker core there. That's going to be interesting. So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they got they even drafted a guy this year too, and I'm blanking on the guy's name that they drafted, but they drafted a guy this year too. So
okay.
There's going to be some guys that are going to be able to, and they picked up another guy too, that Chalice guy or whatever they picked up too.
Was he a draft pick or
from
another
some guy
team?
they picked up from free agency or something like that who's going to probably be part of the thing too. And Spillane, I think he's also going to be part of that group too. So
yeah, he'll be good.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing what the Steelers are going to do, especially in the training camp, and see how that's going to go. I'm looking forward to what the Flyers are going to do, especially with the expansion draft, and then 2 days later is going to be the regular normal NHL draft.
Well, I thought the NHL draft comes first.
No, the expansion draft is first on the 21st.
Okay.
And then on the 23rd 23rd and the 24th is the regular NHL draft.
Okay.
Of which the Flyers will be picking 13th. Well, they were originally picking 14th, but because Arizona forfeited their number 1 draft pick, Philadelphia is now picking 13th.
How did they forfeit their draft pick?
Because of what happened in another season with other issues that involved some players and some other things, and so that's part of their punishment.
I see.
Is that they had to forfeit their number 1 draft pick this year.
Okay.
So now Philadelphia is picking 13th instead of 14th.
I don't like 13.
I don't either, and that's kind of like right around where we've got to pick JVR.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but there's going to be some pretty decent players, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I mean, maybe the expansion draft is going to help us out too, and it's going to be interesting to see a lot. Too, what happens with what Chuck Fletcher does with this team, especially in the offseason, because I feel this offseason is very key to the Flyers, especially for the next 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that, so.
I know. All right. Well, thank you all very much for checking us out. We would like to thank our sponsors, Canine Country Club Resorts, for being our sponsor. And you need to check them out on the web at www.cccresorts.com. Check them out on the web or check them out on Facebook. Get your time out there now. Get your appointments for the groomers and get your pool time out there. Just remember, too, that especially now that vacation times are coming up, you can get your pets out there and get them boarded for just in time for when you go out on vacation. You don't have to worry about a thing. Your pets will be very well taken care of right there for sure. So check them out on the web or on Facebook. I'd like to thank them very much for all their help and all their support. Thank you, RoNece, for all of your wonderful co-hosting duties. Thank you.
You're welcome very much.
Check us out on the web at www.steelflyers.com. We will be catching you guys next time. Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.